Yeah, I'm attending veterinarian here at Toxicon, and was like that almost 3 years. And we house it's a CRO. We house mice, rats, and other rodents, including guinea pigs, rabbits. Also, we have non-human primates, dogs, sheep, and pigs. But since you're interested in mice and rats, yeah, we house those animals. And we do preclinical work. We use pain medicine for our surgical models and for disease state when necessary. And we quite standardized in our protocols for pain management. That's why I would be interested to talk to you to see what's your approach, what you work on, because it's a big deal for us what kind of pain medication needs to be used for GLP and non-GLP studies.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so let me just get a sense of the sort of population sizes that you're, working with, and I realize, especially as a CRO, it may fluctuate through the year, but can you give me a sense of the kind of population sizes you're talking about in terms of the
size
mice?
For mice, right, it's going to be about 1,000 of transgenic mice or regular mice, and about a couple thousand of rats, and those are usually Sprague Lowry or Norway brown rats. And for other animals, those are in our USDA reports, and you can see them online. So we have about 500-600 rabbits. We have same amount of guinea pigs, a couple hundred dogs, and we probably don't want sheep and pigs. So yeah, those are small numbers. It's mice and rats are we use them, but not as I used to work with them. In my previous work at Michigan State, we had really like tens of thousands of mice, but in this place it's really very few. You compare to previous work. Yeah.
Yep. All right, so I want to understand a little bit about your current, focusing in specifically on the mice and rats, on the typically used pain protocols that you have in play in terms of and relative procedure volume. So they're splits between like various narcotics and NSAIDs and so on. What are the typical protocols and modalities that you have in play for handling pain?
We have, so it's going to be depending on the study. It can be opioids and non-opioids, and depending on the study, no opioids are preferred. It's going to be buprenorphine, and it's standard of practice to do injectable into mice, rats, and if other minor issues, we can use meloxicam or other NSAIDs. And there'll also be 2 ways to do pain management.
I'm sorry, I missed their last statement.
Yeah, those are going to be only 2 ways to do pain management, or opioids or NSAIDs. And it's dependent procedures can be 1 day if it's minor, if it's non-penetrating, going into major organs, and 2 days if it's major surgical procedure.
And so you mentioned buprenorphine. So with that, are you largely using the immediate release buprenorphine? Is your facility ever using sustained release, or?
No, we don't use sustained release because it's not easily available for market, and for it has to be formulated. Since it's compounded, and for our GLP studies, it's not really not easily. I would say regulated drug. That's why we prefer to use at this time, as long as it's not standardized practice, we use regular buprenorphine.
Right.
But if buprenorphine SRs, if it gets approved on the market, yeah, we can use it more often.
And then and then on the NSAID side, I think you mentioned meloxicam specifically. Are you using? I think there's a sustained release meloxicam. It's a standard with meloxicam. We still prefer to do once a day injection meloxicam. We can. It's the same story as with buprenorphine, because for about 3/4 of studies are GLPs. So we need to have quite a stable product to trust, and usually
24 hours for injection. It's kind of standard for us to monitor animals, so we combine it with the Loxicam injection. But for buprenorphine, we're really looking forward to into sustained release, so we can do once a day injection.
And are you, so I'm sorry, this may have been implied in what you just said, but are you sometimes using multiple modalities? So within the same animal, starting with one?
No, it's only all buprenorphine, all meloxicam.
Okay, gotcha. All right. And so what do you think about the split is between those two in terms of at your facility? Is it 50-50?
For splitting for what? Buprenorphine NSAIDs and I would say mostly buprenorphine. It's about 90% buprenorphine.
Okay. All right. So I want to talk a little bit more about your process for selecting the pain protocol. Ultimately, who makes the decision? I want to learn a little bit more about the process of how it happens at your organization in terms of there's a study protocol, and then what? How does the pain component of that?
We have SOPs, we have IGU protocol. It's a standard procedure. For any GSD requirement procedure, so the PI research facility submits a study protocol for pain treatment, and if there is painful procedure involved, and so we have to review it and address. And buprenorphine appears to be the number one choice for us, price-wise, and how easy to handle. And so it's literally pre-written in our study and IGU protocols. There's really not much deviation on how it can be used. If I can make as a veterinarian my own decision to extend use of buprenorphine or pain medicine, but mostly for routine use, it's really study-oriented. It's a study-driven protocol, and it's usually a very standardized procedure.
Okay, so let's talk a little bit about that. So you have these standard operating protocols, and how, from your point of view, does it leave any unmet needs? I mean, if you could magically have, something else within the SOPs, what would you wish for, if anything?
If you can probably sustain release buprenorphine, or if something alternative to fentanyl page into mice race, it would be magically widely accepted, but it's not. Something like that, like something like fentanyl page or some something that can last for 3 days, that would be awesome. What is for 2 days? So we can.
Yeah. I don't want to put words in your mouth, but the mentioning of fentanyl patch and a longer-acting buprenorphine, makes me think. So is that the heart of the issue? Having an opioid effectiveness level product that is sustained release, so that you don't have to inject often, or what's underneath? Why do you wish for that?
It's just because the cost of the manipulating animal is so high. It really does matter if it's dermal or if it's injectable. But because the handling of the animal, it's time for personnel to work with animals and stress of handling animals for animal. That's why they're using patches or like sustained release items would be a great find to help both animal and to company in general. To help to save.
Yep. Okay, and so to what extent, when we did talk briefly, touch on the sustained release buprenorphine that's available, but it has to be compounded, is that the heart of the issue, that it's, in terms of it's not you're doing GLP studies, and it's, okay. And so that's the primary barrier.
Because it really has to be custom prescribed, custom ordered by using a practitioner license for the use. So from any retail sellers of, not retail, but because regulated sellers of opioids, it's not so freely available as other drugs. And the quality control also, we are not sure if the lot numbers and are as strongly regulated as we're not sure that the quality is not as good as for regular buprenorphine or fentanyl page.
So, so kind of, let me jump off on that point a little bit. So, I know there are NIH guidelines that regarding the use of pharmaceutical grade medications for lab animals whenever they are available.
Yeah.
Is that a piece of your thinking here as well? When you mentioned, is that the quality issue? Is that what the NIH is reflecting?
Yeah,
or?
because it's since the pharmacy will guarantee that they use pharmaceutical grade of ingredients for their compounding, it's usually not an issue. It's usually a problem when from compounding facility itself has to be validated and approved, and has to be like really in GMP conditions. And we really don't see much like that.
Right. Okay. And so, as you know, buprenorphine is a Schedule III controlled substance. Does that